Alright, so you're using Airtable, and if you're anything like me 6 months ago, you love it. It's the backbone of half the workflows you've ever built, but your bill keeps creeping up. You've hit a record limit that you didn't even know existed. Your clients want a real interface for the data, and not just a share view link, and now you're sitting there wondering if there's a better way of doing this all in 2026. There are actually 3 better ways, depending on what you're trying to build. And by the end of this video, I'm going to show you the one that quietly replaced about 4 different tools inside of my own consulting business, including the front-end builder that I was paying for separately, the database I was duct taping to it, and the user permission logic that used to take forever to set up. I help builders and freelancers turn AI and automation skills into actual income. And if you want to land your first or next AI client, you can take part in the 4-week challenge inside of my free school community of like-minded people, where you'll find a free course that's honestly better than most paid courses out there, and you'll get direct one-on-one access to me for whatever questions you might have. The link is down below. Okay, now let's dive in. First option is one that a lot of you are probably already using and paying for that you didn't even realize was an option. N8N data tables. If you've been in this space longer than 5 minutes, you know N8N. It's probably the most common tool that most builders and freelancers use to learn and start to build with. And as of version 1.113.1, N8N shipped a native feature called data tables. What that means is that you can now create real, structured data tables directly in N8N without connecting to Airtable, Google Sheets, or any external database. Insert rows, update rows, query rows, deduplicate records, cache API responses, all of it. Native inside the same tool that your workflows already live in, and it is fast. The reported benchmarks have it running over 100 times faster than reading and writing inside of Google Sheets inside of your workflow. If you've ever sat there watching a Google Sheets node take 6 seconds to update, all because of 3 rows in the middle of an execution, you know exactly why this matters. But I want you to pay attention to this next part, because this is where most builders are probably going to make the wrong call. Data tables are amazing for things that live inside of your automations, like storing processed IDs so that you don't double send an email, tracking how many times the user triggered this workflow in an hour, maintaining a queue of items to process, storing configuration values that you want to change without editing the workflow itself. For that kind of stuff, it's a no-brainer. It's faster, cleaner, and one less subscription on your stack. But here's where it stops being a real Airtable replacement. By default on N8N Cloud, you get 50 megabytes of storage across all of your data tables. 50 megabytes. If you self-host, you can raise that cap with an environment variable, but on cloud, that's your ceiling. There are no complex joins. There are no indexes to speed up large queries. There's no advanced query language. And this is the big one. The data is not callable from outside of N8N. There's no API endpoint that your front end can hit. So that means your client can literally not open a portal and see the data. It lives inside N8N. It talks to N8N. That's the contract. So if you're using N8N for your backend automations and you want to replace a Google Sheet that powers internal workflow logic, then yes, use data tables today. If you're going to build a CRM that your client is going to log into and click around in, that is not what this is. Which brings us to alternative number 2. And this one is for the technical people watching. I see you. NocoDB. It's open source, has almost 62,000 stars on GitHub, AGPL license, and free forever if you self-host. And the core idea is genuinely brilliant. Instead of trapping your data in a proprietary system the way that Airtable does, NocoDB sits as a spreadsheet-style interface on top of your existing SQL database. You bring the database. NocoDB gives you the Kanban view, the calendar view, the timeline view, the form view, the gallery view, role-based permissions, and an auto-generated REST API on top of it. And let me ask you a serious question. Why would you ever pay a per-seat bill for Airtable when this exists? And the honest answer is, for a specific kind of client, you wouldn't. If you've got a technical client, an engineering team, an ops team that already has a Postgres instance running in production, NocoDB is one of the best tools you can hand them. You point it at a production replica, and suddenly the marketing team has a safe, governed interface to look at customer data without anyone writing SQL. The cost savings versus a 10-person per-seat Airtable business plan, which runs over $5,000 a year, are obvious within the first month. But and this is the part that nobody tells you when they're hyping an open source alternative, NocoDB is a database interface. It is not an application. There is no automation engine inside of it. There are no dashboards or charts. Real-time collaboration is weaker than what you get in Airtable or some of the other alternatives. If a colleague edits a cell, you might not see it until after you refresh the page. And it requires actual technical work to deploy. Docker, environment variables, a database to connect to, an SSL certificate if you want your client to be able to hit it from a domain that doesn't scare them. If you're not a person who's comfortable doing that, or if your client is not the kind of business that has somebody comfortable with doing that, you've just signed yourself up for a maintenance contract that you probably don't want. So who is this for? It's for engineering-led organizations and the technical consultants that serve them. If that's you, and your client fits that mold, NocoDB plus a few $100s a month in hosting absolutely beats a $5,000 a year Airtable bill. If that's not you, keep watching. Because the third option on this list is the one I want you to pay the closest attention to. Here's the problem with Airtable that no one really talks about clearly. Airtable is a database. To turn an Airtable into something that a real user, your client, their staff, their customers can actually log into and use, you have to bolt a front end on top of it. That's going to be a separate tool, and that's going to be a separate set of permissions that you're going to have to configure. And then you also need workflow automation, which is also another tool. So your stack ends up being Airtable plus a front end builder plus an automation tool plus some kind of permissions logic that you had to come up with yourself. 4 tools, 4 monthly bills, and most importantly, 4 different connection points where things can break. Softr's whole pitch in 2026 is that they collapsed that stack into one platform. And the thing that made it work was the AI co-builder that they launched earlier this year. So here's what this actually means in practice. You open Softr and you type, in plain English, I need a client portal where my consulting clients can log in, see their deliverables, leave comments, and get notified when a new file is uploaded. And then the AI co-builder builds the database tables and the relationships between them, the page structures, the navigation, the user roles and permissions, and the UI blocks. So tables, Kanban boards, calendars, forms, charts, all connected to the data. Not a prototype, not a demo, an actual functional app with login, user management, and storage already wired in. And then, and this is the part that I think that most people miss, you don't have to start over to refine it. You can just keep prompting it inside of the editor. Add a chart showing project status by week. Done. Change the Kanban board to group by client instead of stage. Done. Or you can just drag and drop the visual builder yourself. You're never trapped in a reprompting loop, which is the failure point in every other AI app builder that I've ever used. And the pricing is solid too. The free plan gives you 5 AI credits and 10 app users. The basic plan is $49 a month. The professional plan, which is what you would actually use to run a consulting business on this, is $167 a month. Compared to what I used to pay for a separate database, a separate front-end builder, and a separate automation tool, it's significantly less. And for a client build, you can quote a real budget knowing that one tool is going to do the work of 4. For the kind of work that most of you are getting paid to do, client portals, internal tools for small businesses, ops dashboards, partner platforms, this is the simplest path that I've seen from we have a problem to your client is using it next Tuesday. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. You're thinking, Lindsay, I'm a builder. I like assembling my own stack. I don't want one tool that does everything. I want best in class for each layer. And honestly, I used to be the same way. When I was first learning this, I was so proud of my Frankenstein stacks. Airtable here, an NocoDB over there, a Notion page on top, and a Stripe integration basically held together by duct tape. It felt like proof that I knew what I was doing. And then I started getting paid. And the first time that a client called me on a Sunday night because one tool in the chain had silently updated its API and now the whole system was down, I realized something. My clients do not care how clever my stack is. They care that the thing that they paid me $4,000 to build works on Monday morning. Every additional tool in a build is another connection point that can break, another bill that the client has to pay, another login that they have to remember, and another reason for them to quietly question if you know exactly what you're doing. Consolidation is not laziness. Consolidation is professionalism when you're charging real money. Okay, so let me bring this home. The 3 Airtable alternatives that I'd recommend in 2026, depending on what it is that you're trying to do. 1. NocoDB data tables. Use this when you're already running NocoDB workflows and you need fast native storage for things like deduplication, queues, and configuration. Don't use it when your client needs to log in and interact with the data. It's not built for that. 2. NocoDB. Use this when you or your client are technical. You've got a real SQL database already in play, and you want a clean spreadsheet-style interface sitting on top of it without paying per seat. Don't use it when you need a full application, or you don't have someone comfortable with maintaining the deployment. And 3, Softr. Use this tool when you're building the actual software that your client's business runs on. Client portals, internal tools, dashboards, ops systems. Use it when you want the database, the front end, the permissions, and the workflow logic all in one place. And use it especially if you want to leverage the AI co-builder and compress what used to be a 2-week build into a 1-day build. And that's the tool that I mentioned at the very beginning that's replaced about 4 things in my own consulting business. It's not because it's the most powerful tool of the 3. It's because for the specific job that most of you are getting paid to do, it removes the most pieces from the stack. And every piece you remove is one less thing standing in between you and a client invoice. If you want to test out Softr and see why it's my #1 recommendation on this list, try their new AI co-builder and see all of the things that you can build for clients, check out the link in the description. You'll get 200 free credits to try it out yourself. And drop a comment and tell me which of the 3 that you're going to try out first. I read every one. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.